Ryan Lamb, the interviewer on Shelby the Foote.
About Shelby Foote tells us about
Right.
you. But your other books, you just start.
Right
off.
So does the narrative.
Yes.
There's no preface saying I owe my debts to this and that and the other. That all comes at the end. It starts, and in the full narrative, the sections. I never called books chapters in my novels, but in the history, I was careful to call it Chapter 1, Chapter 2, emphasizing its kinship to the novel.
There are no footnotes.
Ah, the kinship to the novel. In other words, the history book has a kinship to the novel. So we're going to hear what this question is here. I'm going to go back just a slight bit here so you can hear the upcoming question. I really want you to hear this question.
I was careful to call it Chapter 1, Chapter 2, emphasizing its kinship to the novel.
There are no footnotes and no bibliography.
The subject, after 100 years, is well enough known not to need footnotes. The Civil War.
What? 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 No footnotes, no bibliography? Now listen, I don't know where you went to school or if you went to school beyond high school. But when I went to a university, you could not submit a paper to a professor without footnotes or a bibliography. Documentation is absolutely essential to any research, valid research. But if it's not valid, by gollies, you don't need footnotes, do you? If it's not valid, you don't need bibliography, right? Right? If it's not valid.
Footnotes are extremely useful to other historians, and I was writing for historians' enjoyment and I hope instruction. But mainly I did not want to interrupt this narrative with this bunch of footnotes down at the bottom.
Oh, so you don't want to interrupt a narrative with footnotes? I can imagine myself submitting a paper at university level. Usually they were to be at least 10 typewritten pages, double-spaced. And I say typewritten. Yes, I come from the era of the typewriter. I can imagine submitting a paper with no footnotes and no bibliography. And do you know what the professor would do with that? Give me 0. 0! So what has happened to the mindset of people watching something so sophisticated like C-SPAN and the author of a book saying there's no need for footnotes, there's no need for a bibliography because 100 years have passed? Did you really hear what she said? I sure hope you did, because it's nonsense.
Where your eye leaves the story every now and then to glance down at the footnote. I thought that the footnotes would cost me more artistically than they would gain me in academic respect.
Who's Ralph?
They would cost me more rather than gain your respect? Well, who in the heck would ever reason like that except a bunch of dumbos? Elephants, dumbos, with no brain. And the people that read his 3-volume set with no footnotes and no bibliography, guess what? There's no brain. Because he just makes stuff up.
Ralph Newman is a Civil War enthusiast from Chicago, and one of the leading persons to make the Civil War into the American consciousness through a thing he had called the American Lincoln Bookshop there in Chicago. He was one of the founders of the Civil War Roundtable in Chicago, which I think
So I'm going to
was
end
the
this
first
video.
roundtable.
Thank you for watching.
They, during this